and celebrated those for the reason for the holiday, and I just appreciate those around you. You see bucket fills. Who wants to share? I know a few that have some stuff to share. Who would like to share something great that's happened since last time we've all seen each other?
I will.
Yes.
Had a listing that went live Thursday, under contract Friday.
Wow. Yay. Awesome. Who else? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I got my first listing. Congratulations. We're so happy for you. All right. Tiffany, is Tiffany here? No, okay, she'll be in the two wheels in a second, I'm sure. Kelly is here. Kelly LaKenda. Come on up.
Kelly LaKenda with 210 Home Buyers Warranty, your home warranty partner and resource. So one thing I wanted to remind you guys about that we are the only company here in Georgia that not only offers the 1-year systems and appliances for our pre-loved homes, but we also do work with builders with our brand new construction homes never been lived in. That's where 210 actually came from. It's our 1-year workmanship, 2-year delivery systems, and 10 years of structural coverage. So if you guys are ever working with brand new construction homes never been lived in or with any builders, please let me know. I can get you in touch with my fabulous counterpart, Keisha Hulsey. If you do get a builder approved with us, you will also get a $100 referral fee. But the cool thing about having those two different divisions is I found out nationally, 1 out of 5 homes has our structural coverage, but here in Georgia, it's 1 out of 4 homes. So the cool thing is if you guys are ever working with any resale homes that are 9 years or younger, reach out to me and I can check to see if there's remaining structural coverage. I was talking to an agent the other day and she had a home that was only 5 years old and she was going to put the listing coverage on it, but I found out that there was 5 years left of structural coverage that the homeowner did not even know that they had. So it was a great marketing tool to use, saying not only are we going to offer the 1-year systems and appliance warranty, but there's also 5 years left of structural coverage with 210 Home Buyers Warranty. If the builder does not want to become a member with us, we also do have a 3-year new construction warranty, but it does not cover structural. It's just the systems and appliances. But we do have our 3 simple, standard, and the Supreme. And the Supreme, you guys know, it's the best. $750 for 3 years of coverage. And you can either start at day 1 of closing for 3 years, or you can start at year 2 for 3 years. So just keep that in mind that we do have 2 different divisions.
How much do those run?
The builder's warranty. So to become a builder, it is $325, but if you are referring a builder into our program, it's only $210, $210. They do have to meet all of our building requirements, 3 years of building experience, 3 years of annual volume. If they are going to do the full 210, we do run a credit check. But they do get quoted a rate per thousand. I do not quote the rates. It just really depends on the number of homes that they're willing to bring in by their average sales price. But I'll be honest, our highest rate here in Georgia is $2.95 per 1,000 of the sales price.
Oh, of the sales price, not square footage.
Yep. For the new construction, for the structural coverage. And then we actually, it's 2 different rates, one for the full 210, and then we also have a lower rate if they just want structural coverage only. Oh, awesome. Well, if you guys haven't used 210 Home Buyers Warranty, have ever worked with me, I'd love the opportunity to become your partner. So thank you.
Yeah. Boy, James and Tim Brown, come on up. Okay, come on up.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good news on rates. They're going down for the first time, and now they're not at 4% yet, obviously, but they were
4.5 would be fine.
From your lips to God's ears. I gotta. Yeah, we were topping out at right around 7% last week. So everybody knows about the debt, the ceiling being raised, raised the roof, so to speak. But they agreed to raise it, so that's kind of made everybody who was worried about, you know, us going into default on our bills. That would be a problem for interest rates. So that's the good news. The other thing is, I mentioned, I think it was last week. These weeks are running together about a first-time home buyer program that is fantastic, and we're one of the unique lenders that offers this because it's a partnership with Freddie Mac, which is one of those quasi-government agencies. For first-time home buyers, $3,000. The strings attached are, one, you have to do a home buyer training course on the phone, probably 15 to 20 minutes, not a big deal. And the other thing is you can't make too much money, which always is part of the equation that they figure out how to make sure that if buying $1 million house, I'm gonna get $3,000 to put an extra bathroom in my 7th bathroom. So here's a question. Who knows, who could guess approximately what the median income is for the Atlanta metro area, for a family, not for a person, per household? Yes.
85.
88?
Those are very close. It's $94,000, $94,750 or something like that. Remember that because it matters for this program. This program, you can have income up to 130% of the median income. So that's like $130,000 as a family. You can have that much income and still get the $3,000. So, and we have a situation right now. If you have two buyers making $100,000 each, you can say, well, we're not going to put this one on the loan. We're going to, if we can qualify with the other one, they still qualify. If they're not on the loan, if they aren't part of the transaction, then that income is not going to be verified and qualifying for the program. So it's a great program, first time home buyers, or if you bought and you haven't owned, you've sold and you haven't owned a house for 3 years or more, then you're still considered a first time home buyer. So I'll leave the flyers up on the counter back there would be the best place. Just helps to give you the details. The highlights are $3,000, make less than 130, and you live in the metro Atlanta area. Hall County is not in the MSA for Atlanta. That was surprised to learn. Although Meriwether County is, which go figure that logic. But anyway, Tim Brown, I'm here to help with Joy as well, back from her prevails out west. Maybe she'll tell some stories next week when I'm on vacation.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
I
I brought the checks to prove. I was like, I'm going to your office. She's like, here you go. Good morning, I'm Tiffany with Kelly and Sorahan. Today I just wanted to remind you guys who all you have at your disposal when I'm out of town, because I'm going to be out of town next week. We have a baseball tournament in Branson, Missouri. So never knew it was on my bucket list, but we're going. But Carmen is who's been helping me since Jared has been gone. So Carmen will be there the whole week. Most of you guys have known her for a while. She covered one of my maternity leaves. I forget which one. But Carmen is there. And then Tanya and Amber, the two closers, are probably your best resources. If you can't get Carmen on the phone because she's in a closing, Tanya is superstar in Buford, Amber in Brazelton. So if you guys can't reach me or Carmen, just ask for one of them. And then, you always have Duluth. They have, I don't even know how many attorneys, probably like 20 attorneys there now. You should always be able to get an attorney on the phone if you have any questions about title or, you're trying to write up a special stipulation and you need some help right now. I'll still be on my cell phone, of course, and, following emails and all that. But if you need urgent help, it's the 497-1880 number. You should always be able to get an attorney there in Duluth. Or text me and I'll get you to whoever I can. If I can't pick up, I can normally text if I'm not, doing Game Changer or something for sports. That's fine. We have travel baseball player and also a softball player. So that is my summer this year. So, but that's it. If you guys need anything, please let me know. I will be back week after next. Have a good week.
Awesome. Thank you. Vendors, if you could please stand up. Say good morning. Jason, we'll start with you.
RB, Jason Turner with Gill Traffic Exterminating. Gary, Junk Express, Junk Removal. James Avner, Ensign Building Solutions.
Stephanie Peace with Organized Chick.
Tammy Baker, Contractors Best Solution.
Awesome. And really quick, for those who have not met Stephanie, stand back up. She's a brand new vendor with our market center. We
Standing up.
Yeah. Yeah, and but she does a plethora of services, not just organizing, and so it's on her informational stuff that's on the back on the wall behind our business card. So definitely a good resource, and we're happy to have you at our market center. Yep, knock yourself out. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Classes and training coming up for June. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's CE Appraiser's Guide to CMAs with DS Murphy, that'll be on June 22nd. Another CE contracts class on June 29th with the broker boys. Tech training for June with Stewart. These are also, I want to just, I really quickly, the calendars that are on your desk, we have changed the format of the calendars. On the left and right hand columns, you'll see a listing of the classes that are coming up, kind of by category, that are our monthly standing classes, to make it a little bit easier so the calendar doesn't look so clogged, because it's hard to fit everything within the small box. So a lot of the stuff you also see on there, just want to point that out. Mortgage training with Joy and Tim, June 13th and June 27th after team meeting at 12:30. Feed Your Face Friday. Has everybody signed up for Feed Your Face Friday this Friday? Who's bringing dessert? Anybody in here bringing dessert?
Probably.
Okay,
We
what-
need to bring them.
yes,
Really?
and it matters what you
I
bring.
expected that, because you would have nice.
Right, I'm like, dessert is like, that's what I'll go to first. Yes, please bring something yummy. The Market Center, Jason Bonds is doing the grill for us, the grill master. The Market Center is providing all the meat and buns, and then all the sides are all potluck for everybody to bring. So please come, bring your family, spouse, partner, kids if you want to. We've got some activities for the kids. Should be a fun day. So 12 to 1 eating, and then 1 to 2 activities. Career day and nights. We are doing 2 career nights in June, the 20th and 26th at 6 p.m. And then 1 career day on the 15th at 12:30. These are all in person only. You guys are going to get in the mail this week, this postcard. So when it comes, please don't throw it away as junk mail. Please open it. These are a save the date for the rest of the year from the social committee of all the big events we have coming up for the rest of the year. So you guys can go and mark your calendar. There'll be more stuff coming out the month prior to as events start coming up. But these are just so you guys can start planning ahead, and so you all know what the social committee is doing. Obviously, you know, we have a big holiday event coming up, our November thing. We're doing a real fun event at Top Golf in July. So there's just and our golf tournament is on here as well. Some of our mixers. Anyway, so just when you guys used to get those probably tomorrow or Thursday. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow, Thursday. So just please open them, and they're not gonna mail. So save them. All right, the 5 rights in real estate planning with Jim Miskell. Stacy Daver got us. I saw Stacy's down there. She is the one who is our ALC member and committee chair that arranged this. So thank you, Stacy. You guys come on in.
So I'm Joanne Radke. I'm one of Jim's admins, and we have several ladies at the office that you might get on the phone should you call. Inside your folder today, you have a flyer from us, kind of gives us a quick overview of what we do and who we are. We sponsor educational workshops for free several times a month. And the reason we do this is we're big on education, because a lot of anxiety is thought of with estate planning. And to make that work for clients, giving them a little bit of information, a little bit of background, makes the process a little bit easier. Try to break the process down into small bite-sized pieces so that by the time they're done with their estate planning, they feel confident with their estate planning attorney and also with the plan that they've built. So you'll see on our website and also in our newsletter and blog the upcoming workshops, and they're free and to anyone. All you have to do is let me know you want to see. The other side is a notes page for you, in case you want to take some notes. Behind that, I have a special evaluation form. This gives me an idea of the kinds of things that people are interested in. We look at this constantly to upgrade our presentation to match the needs of the people that we're speaking of. And there's a special spot at the bottom for professionals like yourselves to kind of tell us what you're running into in your professional life that is directly affected by somebody's estate planning or lack thereof. So if you could let us know that, I'd appreciate it. I will be collecting these in a basket outside when you're finished. Just drop them in there. And I'll let Mr. Miskell get started.
Thank you, Joanne. I have a fantastic staff. Nothing happens without them. All right, so today we're going to talk about estate plan. I changed up the title. How to avoid a mess. One of the things that we find in the workshops and just working with clients is that stories are high impact. Instead of getting into legalese, people have a lot of anxiety about the legalese, and it's very thick and boring, to be quite honest. The lawyer in the back could tell you that. So we're going to start with a story. and I call this one the homemade deed. How much does it cost? $15. So this is a story about Al and Ann. Ann ended up with they've been married several years. It was a second marriage, and she had a couple of kids from before, but she ended up with a bad prognosis on a cancer diagnosis. And Al was very worried about her. He thought, I want to make sure she's provided for, and I could get run over by a truck at any time, and I don't want Ann out on the street. And the house is only in my name. I didn't change it when we got married. So he called, of course, Kelly and O'Sorhan and said, we need a deed. Joint right of survivorship. That's how to do it. No, he didn't. He wanted to make sure she was right before the house is only in his name. He can fix it. How hard could it be, right? I mean, it's not so easy. It's the deed form. I downloaded it, and went up to the courthouse, told me how to do it. And that's what he wrote on the deed. Al and Ann. Exactly what he wrote. It cost him he had to go fill out PT 61, and then it was only $15 to file it. $15 later, he's set. Nothing to worry about. So relieved. Crisis averted. Luckily, nothing happened to him. He was there. He stood by Ann and was there and throughout her entire sickness and was able to comfort her. And he was there until the end, because eventually she passed. Now what? Time for Al to start over. So he listed the house. Market was hot. Got a contract right on. Closing attorney, Bateman Kelly O'Sorhan, took a look at the deed and went, not so fast, my friend. Where's Ann? You got two people on this deed, Al and Ann. We've only got Al on the contract. What's going on? And so that's where we go off to probate court. So you will notice that the firm is called the Estate Planning Law Group of Georgia, not the Estate Cleanup Law Group of Georgia, but we do cleanup too. And really our work falls into those two categories, it's planning and cleanup. One is more fun for us and for the clients. One is less expensive. But we do both, we're pretty good at both. So we're off to probate court. No big deal, right? Because when spouses die under Georgia law, and Ann, of course, did not have a will. When a spouse dies, the other spouse inherits everything, right? No, not so fast, my friend. So under the Georgia code, I call that Plan C. I don't like it when I call it Plan B. But there you actually have an estate plan. If you don't have an estate plan at all, you actually have one. It's the Georgia code. And it will answer every situation that comes up. It's not personalized for your family. It doesn't have any of your choices in it. But the duplicate slide, or did I go backwards? So we're off to probate. Here we go. So we file for administration. That's what you do in probate court when you don't have a will. If you have a will, you call it probate. Probate and proof come from the same root word. It means to prove. That's the whole idea of a probate action, is to prove that the will is valid and it should be followed. When you don't have one, you don't have to do that. And when you go to do an administration or a probate, you list all of Ann's heirs. You have to list all the heirs. And so right now we have a little audience participation. I like to do this in almost every workshop. Raise your hand if you have heirs. Okay, now I'm going to prove to you, you don't. Because I'm a lawyer and they're almost all trick questions. Hold up both hands in front of you. Take two fingers on either hand. It doesn't matter which one. Put it on the inside of the other wrist. If you feel a bumping sensation, or you can do it here, it means your heart is beating, which means you don't have heirs.
Oh.
Good old bull.
You don't know who they are until it happens. If I predecease my wife, Jane, she's my heir. If she predeceases me, I'm her heir. It depends on what order this happens in. And so for Ann, her heirs are spouse and kids. Not Al's kids. They didn't have any kids together. It's the two kids she had from prior. And they were both adults in their, well, they were in their 30s. And so we reached out to them and said, we filed this thing and we just need to clear this thing up. We get the house over to Al and hoping you'll consent, sign off. And didn't hear back from either of them. And it turned out that the unemployed son and the son that was in prison, neither one of them were crazy about Al and the plan. So we had to go forward to get them served. Eventually, the unemployed son managed to file some kind of objection. We got through all this. Eventually, Al ended up with the house. The probate action was closed. How much did it cost? $15?
No.
It cost 2.5 years. Because all this fooling around with trying to get people to sign off on things and evading service and all that good stuff, it costs $6,500 roughly. And $15. What could have been? So, you got this situation where Al has a problem. He thinks, how can I fix this problem? He didn't ask a real estate attorney. He didn't ask a probate or estate planning attorney. Yeah. He didn't ask anybody. I guess he did a little Googling, but he ended up trying to use a real estate document to actually do estate planning. It wasn't the right fit. So what could have been was we could have set it up where he had no court, no sleepless nights, no dealing with angry family, no lost sale. That sounds good. No delay in moving because he was stuck where he was with a revocable living trust plan. Revocable living trust plan, when somebody dies, you don't have to find the heirs. You don't have to run it by a judge to see it, say it's okay. The big difference between a will and a revocable living trust is that with a will, everybody knows what a will is, right? Say who gets your stuff when you die, and you name your executor. You actually only nominate your executor. The court appoints the executor. With a trust, you appoint your people. You appoint your successor trustee that does what the executor would do. And they have authority not because the court says it's okay, not because the heirs agree with it, but because the only person whose opinion counts is the only one that matters, and that's yours. You've said they're the person with authority and these are their instructions. What would that have cost? Well, it would have saved at least $3,000 to do that. So maybe we set up a trust plan for $3,500. He would have caught the first sale on the house. He would have been in his condo on the 14th fairway in Myrtle Beach without any issues, no problems, and no family. So this is the big value proposition for clients, right? Sort of a you pay me now or you pay me later kind of thing when it comes to administering estates for the family. I had a family member, she was the appointed executor in a case. This was a family that lived in Lawrenceville and the True Loves. And the married 35, 40 years. She had early onset dementia and had gotten to the point where she was bedridden, had a hospital bed in the house. And her husband, by God, was going to be the only person that took care of her. He didn't want anybody else in there taking care of her. So he was very reluctant. He finally got a little bit of respite care every other Saturday, but really reluctant to get anybody else involved. Well, he just had a will plan. He didn't have to make any plans in his will for her. Why? She was going to die first. Well, he had a heart attack and died. And you guys probably know caregivers that happens to. You know, caregiving for a spouse tends to really take a toll on the health of the well spouse. So the daughter who lived in Philadelphia, and actually the son lived in Philadelphia, she lived in near Woodstock, New York. She came down. She was the appointed executor or the nominated executor. We met over at the courthouse, filled out all the paperwork, wanted to make sure she understood the petition, got ready to carry it across the hallway to file it. I said, do you have any other questions? She asked me that question. could be a t-shirt, a bumper sticker, coffee mug. But it hit me in the forehead like a 2x4. So this is really sort of the crux of the whole practice here. It's the difference between planning and cleanup. It's the whole reason I do this, because I was a prosecutor here in Gwinnett County and in Rockdale before that. I was a prosecutor for 12 and a half years. I prosecuted crimes against children for about 5 years. I left the DA's office in 2005, opened a general practice. Within about the first 6 months, somebody came to see me. I was doing divorces and criminal defense and little light civil and that kind of thing. A couple came to see me. Hey, Jim, our wills are 16 years old. Can you help us update those? The kids don't need guardians anymore. They're ready to be our ages, things you might expect. So I did that, and got them basic wills and everything put together. What I noticed was that they were different from my other clients. My other clients came to see me because they were in a bad position that very often they had worked diligently for years to put themselves in. And they wanted me to fix it like that, snap my fingers and go, everything's gonna be okay. And I could get, I could increase the amount of child support or reduce the amount of prison time, but they're still not happy. And what I noticed was, again, these are proactive folks. And it became pretty clear to me as I started to have more of these simple will clients come in, that's what I wanted to do. So I changed from a general practitioner to estate planning, and it wasn't until 2011, 2012, I became 100% estate planning. And what was involved in that? A lot of CE credits, a lot of building my business, word of mouth, those sorts of things. But it's worked out really well. An ounce of prevention really is worth a pound of cure. And the only reason anyone ends up across the desk from me on the planning cases is because they love their family. So that's my day. I meet with families and they tell me about what they're worried about. They tell me about their kids' accomplishments. But that's really the heart of estate planning. So every time I speak about estate planning, I tell stories, whether I do it to other lawyers, continuing legal education, or potential clients, or to professional partners. So I talked a little bit about trust already, but I just wanted to give you, and I'm not going to go on, and I could go on and on all day long. A lawyer, I can talk. But I just want to give you a little touch of what the workshops are like for clients. As Joanne said, we have an educational model. I love that right there on your wall, education based, right up there. And it's near and dear to our heart. Just as Joanne said, I have met with so many people who bring in part of the initial consultation, bring in what you got, let's talk it over. And they bring in these documents, sometimes they're very proud of them, and they've got a binder. And I remember one was like this leather bound binder, and it was like a parchment colored paper, and you open it up and the angels sang when you open it up. But what I find when I talk to clients is they don't know why they did what they did. It's been a couple of years, I don't remember. You ask them questions about funding, is the house in the trust? You get a blank stare back. So, if the house isn't titled, and that's what we would have done with Al and Ann. We would have created a revocable living trust where Al and Ann were the trustees. And instead of doing a deed with joint rights of survivorship, we would have put it in the trust. But making sure the funding is there, folks don't know very often what they've got. So it's really important to us to make sure they understand. So I talked a little bit about trust planning. I want to talk to you really quick about two kinds. We're going to divide trust planning into two kinds. Living trust, I already mentioned those. Testamentary trust. Testamentary trust, when you hear testamentary, it could be letters testamentary. That's what you get from the probate court. That's where they say the will's okay. You can go do what you need to do. Or testamentary trust. It means somebody's died. When you've heard testamentary, I'm dead. And so these are trusts that I create for my loved ones. Ways to structure gifts. And if you look at sort of a typical couple, we've got our Jack and Jill, they share and share alike. But if when and how are important in the way they give their gifts, they may want to think about testamentary trust planning. Who's important to them? They've got their daughter, giving them 2 beautiful grandchildren. They've got their son, they just wish he'd settle down because they'd like more grandkids. Wish he'd get his act together. Fluffy and Fido, since they become empty nesters, they are really, for parents, you know, really. And then we've got, they've got religious, educational, environmental, health charities that they participate in. And the arrows indicate that they can give to these folks whenever they want, however they want. They're a lot, very easy. Picture now. Horrible. Look, part of my job is that I kill off entire families just very blithely, like, no. So they're in a horrible car wreck. They're both gone. They've got their plan set up, will or trust, doesn't matter. To say, we want to continue to give to these 4 categories of folks. Our daughter, our son, well, our grandkids too, Fluffy and Fido, and the charities. Picture, if you will, Fluffy and Fido. Grief-stricken, looking for comfort. They go to PetSmart. Up and down the aisles. Fido picks out a lot of snacks. Fluffy's got a scratching post, a little catnip. She's trying to make herself feel better. They get up there to the cash register. Time to pay. No pockets. No ATM card. Can't pay for this. Well, they can't handle it themselves. They need instructions on how to manage and distribute what's left for Fluffy and Fido. It's trust. Who runs it? Who buys the toys, Fluffy and Fido? Who pays the vet bills? They can't do it. Now, I'm not saying the other folks that reported Jack and Jill fall into the category of pets, but you could have a similar situation for anybody that needed it. If you wanted to mandate for our daughter Shelley, look, we want you to reserve 20% for the education for the kids. You can use it for college, private school or college. You can put those provisions in there. If you want to say, we're going to give you money to help pay for a wedding, Scott, our son, only if you get married though. So we're gonna reserve it. Or if you actually get a full-time job, we'll give you some money, whatever, when Scott gets his act together. Covered Fluffy and Fido. And if you want to make more than just a lump sum gift to a charity, you could structure it in a trust. Here are the instructions. Here's how I want you to do it. This is how long I want it to last. When we talk about a living trust, there are really 3 parties to a trust. There's the person who makes the trust. There's the person who runs it. And there's the person who benefits from it. So there's the trust maker. In Georgia, we call it the settlor. The administrative arm is the trustee. So the settlor writes the rule book. They build the trust. They write the rule book and they put their stuff in it. And that's what your estate is. Estate is all your stuff. Put your stuff in the trust. The trustee has the rule book and the checkbook and is allowed to write checks to whoever the rule book says is okay. Says it's okay. And the person that benefits is the beneficiary. With revocable living trust, the client's usually all 3 of those things. They make the trust, they put their stuff in it, they hold on to the instructions and the checkbook, and as long as they're well, it doesn't need anybody else. We make plans for disability, who's there if you can't be, but the revocable living trust works while you're alive and after you die. And the advantage to the revocable living trust, you know how I told you that with a will, you only nominate, with a trust, you actually appoint. Powers of attorney, you guys are familiar with powers of attorney, closings. Powers of attorney stop working as soon as the person who made it dies. So there's very often a gap of authority. Somebody dies and it takes at least 30 to 45 days to get probate court to act, where there's this sort of nothing happens. This sort of middle ground. With a trust, if you appoint somebody trustee and you die, they're still trustee. They could put Keller Williams sign in the yard. My son could put a Keller Williams sign in the front yard the afternoon when I die in the morning, if he's the trustee when I die. So for a basic trust, we're going to call it a revocable living trust, and it's useful to think of it as an open box. Meaning you can put anything in it anytime you want, take anything out anytime you want. It's like a cookie jar without a lid. Client maintains access and control. Anything I put in there, I can get right back out. Continue as normal. Although, in addition to having the advantages after you die, we'll put a plan in to avoid the courthouse upon disability. What do I mean there? I mean, if you don't have a trust in place, if you don't have a disability plan, what happens when dad starts thinking he thinks he's George Washington now. And he thinks the Nigerian prince is his best friend. And he's buying magic water off TV. And you can't convince him otherwise. And he's set up to where $50,000 goes out every Thursday to the Nigerian prince. You can't talk him out of it. What do? 75 Langley Drive, right? You're gonna get him down in front of Judge Ballard. Say, Dad thinks he's George Washington, he should not be able to manage his affairs any longer. That's a conservatorship proceeding. Those are less fun than an angry divorce. Very often, kids take different positions. They're super unpleasant. But the idea is you're trying to get the court to wrest that authority away from dad. While that's going on, where's the family? This is what I like to talk with clients about. When that's going on, a conservatorship proceeding, where's the family? They're in a lawyer's office. They're at the courthouse. They're trying to get two doctors to say dad's lost it. Where would they rather be? At the house, spending time with dad. They're also spending money on lawyers and doctors and witnesses. So you put a disability plan in the trust and say, basically, when you make the trust, you say, look, I'm going to pick my own disability panel. I'm entrusting you guys. If I start sending money to the Nigerian prince, don't let me be trustee anymore. Judge Ballard is a nice guy, but he doesn't know my family that well. I'm going to pick people I know really well to do that. So that's the idea of avoiding the courthouse upon disability. And you'll see Jack and Jill and their whole plan fits right over the top of it. While they're alive and well, it's still share and share alike. They can still make all the distributions they want. When they die, if we need testamentary trust planning, it can be in there. If we don't need it, you don't have to do it. Only if, when, and how is important. So it's like a little red wagon.
Yes, we do have a little red wagon.
So here's the question. Anybody have a little red wagon growing up? All right. I need a volunteer. You raise your hand. Tell me your name.
Yeah.
Thea. Only child?
No, I have a brother,
Younger or older?
younger.
He's younger? So you're in charge. That was your wagon.
Yeah. Of course.
So let's think about Thea's wagon. You could put in it anything you wanted.
Yeah.
Anytime you wanted. You could take anything out of it anytime you wanted. Wherever you went when you were playing, it followed you around because you had that handle and it followed you around and your stuff was in there. Could your little brother put things in it?
Hello.
Right. Only if you said, could he take things out?
If I let him.
Only if you said, right. So it's very particular. It's Thea's wagon. And the great thing is that it keeps your toys out of the dirt. What'd you put in it? Dolls, rocks, sticks, your brother?
No, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Mostly baseball equipment.
All right, cool. All right. Yeah. Tonka trucks. Those kinds of things. All right. So the great thing, you can think about the things we have in life as being stuff that we carry around with us. And the great thing, and this is really all my cash at the bank account. And this is my house. The purple marker is my house. And red marker is another investment property. The great thing about carrying things around is that I could buy some stuff from you and peel off money from my bank account, buy things. You could sell this house for me. We could buy another. Wait, here's the house. You can sell this house for me. We could buy another house. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. But if I go down on the playground of life, all my stuff's in the ground. It's in the dirt. We don't like the stuff in the dirt because nobody can do anything with it. So think about it. If I'm in a coma I get T-boned it on the way home, way back to the office, I get T-boned at the intersection, I end up in ICU and an induced coma. I'm down on the playground of life. All my stuff's in the dirt. Nothing can happen with it. Now, if I've given my wife power of attorney, which I have, she's got the authority of the power of attorney to come along and pick that stuff up. And she doesn't have to wait for anybody. Powers of attorney work on their own, right? But if after a couple weeks, I finally succumb to my injuries and I die, the boxes, all the stuff falls right back out of my wife's hands. Jane can't hold on to it anymore because the power of attorney stops working because I'm dead. Now, she can either wait with a will for probate court to say it's okay to pick it up because she's named as my executor. What's that, 30 to 45 days to do it, right? Or not Thea, who lived across the street and she was so mean to her little brother. No, she lived across the street and she always had the baseball equipment. I started going back and forth to the field. I wish I had a little wagon like that. What if I put together a wagon for myself as an adult? I'm gonna put my bank accounts in it. I'm gonna put my house in it. I'm gonna put my investment accounts. And just like Thea, wherever I go, I've got the handle and it follows me around. All my stuff's in the wagon. And if I go down on the playground of life, what hits the ground? The stuff? Just the handle of the wagon, right? Only the handle's in the dirt. And I'm gonna tie a book of instructions to the handle. And the book of instructions says who gets to pull the wagon and what they're supposed to do with the stuff. It's got one set of instructions if I'm disabled. It's got another set of instructions when I die. But the idea is the boxes never fall out of that wagon. Nobody ever has to pick them up out of the dirt because I've got them wrapped up in that wagon. That is how a revocable living trust works, is you come up with a way so your boxes never hit the ground. And so that's how you stay out of probate. That's how you save money. That's how you keep the family from having to run to lawyers. You keep the family from having to ask a lawyer they just met. That girl had just gotten off a plane from New York that morning. She'd known me for about 20 minutes. We talked on the phone a couple times and I started going, she asked me, why didn't Dad make this easy? He never wanted that. So this makes it, keeps your family from having to work with lawyers, having to go to the courthouse. And it just lays out the instructions. Look, as we age, decisions get made. They can be ours or somebody else's. Estate planning is a way to make sure that these decisions are yours. And a way to set it up to make it easy for the family. So here's 5 things you must do to plan your estate. Educate yourself about issues and options. You gotta assess your needs, build a plan, coordinate your plan with your life, and communicate your plan with your family. Educate, that's our first step of our process always is the workshop. We've got recorded versions of it. We will I'll do a workshop at the drop of a hat. Stacey DeRogatis said, you don't want to come talk to us, but she didn't even finish the sentence. I was like, yeah, come on, sounds good. Assessment is the first consultation, initial consultation, meeting and discussing the needs. With an attorney, it doesn't have to be me, but to meet with an attorney because so many people are like, Al, and I've got it in the extended presentation. I've got a slide that's full of things we've heard people say, you know, and it's things like, well, I know we should get on this will, but if something happens to me, I know everything will go to my wife and she can raise the kids with all that money. Not so. 2 or 3 times a year, we unwind some situation where a widow or widower owns a house with 3 minor kids. Not what they intended, but they just didn't have a plan for it. So education is really, really important. That's so you can begin to assess your needs. So then build a plan based on the assessment, coordinate your plan with your life. That's getting your stuff in the wagon where it needs to be. And if it's a will plan rather than a trust plan, and we probably do about 35% will plans, we do a good bit of will plans too. Sometimes will plans are the right fit. Sometimes trust plans are the right fit. Coordinate your plan with your life, meaning beneficiary designations, the deed of the house, everything else is consistent. So everything hits the plan when it's supposed to. And then finally, letting your family know what's going on so they don't have to figure it out while you're in an ambulance going on the way to the hospital. 5 things you must consider as you do this. These are mechanisms. Powers of attorney. That's a way to give legal and financial authority to somebody else while you're living. Think about who your healthcare agents are going to be. Your financial agents and your healthcare agents might be the same people in the same order, but they might not. Your daughter, the EMT, you probably want her as a healthcare agent. If she's never ever balanced her checkbook in her whole life, she's probably not number 1 on your financial agent list, right? End of life treatment options. That's the living will. Anybody in this room ever heard the name Terry Schiavo? I've asked that question in every room I've ever been in, talking about estate planning almost, since probably 2009, 2010. I've never been in a room where nobody knew who Terry Schiavo was. Early 80s, Florida, traumatic brain injury, terrible prognosis. Husband goes to the doctors, says, you know what, we have had long heart-to-heart talks about this. Neither one of us would want to continue on in this state. I think we should withdraw treatment. The doctor said, I know I really feel for you. This is a horrible thing, but we can start that process. I'll just need your paperwork. His husband said, well, you don't have any paperwork. The doctor said, well, I don't think you're making this up. Well, her family said he is too making it up. That's not what Terry would want. So they're in court. Before everything's said and done, General Assembly of Florida, governor, president, pope, all have an opinion. At this point, I think People Magazine, Lifetime movies, probably all sorts of, everybody's got an opinion, books. What I know about Terry Schiavo is that her health care, what happened with her, is none of my business. And it's not any of our business. She's famous for only one reason, where I said. That's because she didn't have a properly executed document. So if you take nothing away from our talk this morning, make sure you get a healthcare directive or a living will in place. Don't leave your kids standing in the hallway of a hospital looking at each other, saying, what should we do? What would he want? What would she want? That's when kids can start to fight. And it's not because there's a good kid and a bad kid, but it's because they had different conversations with you. Oh yeah, last summer she said this, so I think we want to continue treatment. Well, at Thanksgiving she told me this, so I think we want to stop treatment. And they both will fight tooth and nail to get what you want. They'll do what you want, write it down. Get it properly executed. So that's my quick soapbox about healthcare agents and living wills. Make sure you got one in place. It saves so much heartache for families. Wills, who gets your stuff when you die? You can consider a living trust to make things easier for the reasons we've talked about. Trust plans are almost always cheaper beginning to end, almost less expensive, but they are more expensive to set up. So a lot of folks, those are today dollars. I get that. Rights. Everybody got rights. People are big on their rights. I have rights. I want my rights. I figured out there are 5 estate planning rights, but it's not what most people think. These are things you've got to get right or your family is going to be sorry. You got to have the right people. That means your agents. Is it family members or trusted professionals? With the right authority. Does their power of attorney cover real estate sales or does it not? Does their power of attorney make sure they've got the authority to do Medicaid planning if they need to? Does the power of attorney give them the authority to represent you in front of a government agency? Might ought to. So making sure there's the right authority at the right time. Meaning that when crisis strikes, your agents already have the authority. They don't have more processes to go through to get that authority. Whoops. With the right instructions, what to do. Having the authority is not the same as telling them what to do. Saying you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. So the instructions are guidelines decided with the right professionals. What do I mean by that? I mean that CPAs and tax planners, financial professionals, and estate planning attorneys to make sure that the right decisions have been made along the way. Anybody seen the commercials for Will and Trust or Trust and Will? What is it on TV? You could start your, it's like LegalZoom. It's a new thing that they've really rolled out these commercials. And, you know, starting at 129 or something. The last screen, if you watch any of those commercials, when you see one, the last screen, you'll notice there's this little type at the bottom. Will and Trust is not a law firm. Should not do estate planning without consulting a lawyer first. So, it's really important. Why? Because I've seen so much of it. I've seen so much of it. I've seen what works really well for families. I've seen what not so much works for families. So how does it work? We do planning, on the planning side, let's say you've got clients, you're talking to them, turns out they've got nothing in place. Turns out they may have a disabled daughter and nothing in place, or a new prognosis. A lot of times they'll tell you, oh, we've got this thing we're kind of worried about. We're waiting to see how it goes. You can direct them to us. First thing that's going to happen is that educational piece. After the educational piece, then there's the consultation. And that's the idea of talking about what they've got in place and what's important to them going forward. One of the things that I really enjoyed about estate planning is that every family's different. So every plan's different. We're not just cranking them out because they're all different. Based on the consultation, make a plan and then execute the ABCs. That's the ABCs: assess your needs, build a plan, coordinate with your life. That's making sure your stuff gets in the wagon when and where it's supposed to. On the cleanup side, you may run across a situation like Al and Ann, right? Where you've got this deed that's all messed up. You thought you got a great house, can't wait, got a contract on it, and then you find, oh, wah, wah. All right. Cleanup, that means probate. Call or email. I called her out. Joanne Radke, she's the go-to person. You can call or email her office. You can call or email me. Joanne's more reliable. What happens with the cleanup situation when we need to engage court is we draft it and file it. We got to file quick. Right? So it's resolved right away. No, then everybody waits. So that's just sort of the nature of anytime you deal with the courts, you're handing the timeline over to them, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it sort of needs some explanation up front. But of course, we can draft a file quickly, but then everybody's waiting. And hopefully the family's cooperative. Joanne's wonderful with dealing, I'm on whole staff, wonderful with dealing with family members. Thank you for being here this morning. I want to thank the Regattas team, Keller Williams, of course. Let me know how I can help your clients. And if you think you've got a need in your family, of course, reach out then too. But we've sponsored lunch today. And we're coming right up on 12, and I don't see any reason to keep from eating unless you guys have.
No, we have something else we have to do
Very
before we
good.
eat, but yes.
Well, you're not going to be held up because of me. Thank you, everybody.
Take a minute to fill out that evaluation form. I have a basket out here on the counter, and if you'll just put those in the basket for me, I'd appreciate it.
Well, she's switching that over really quickly, and then we'll, because it is kind of morbid to think about. But has anybody here had issues when they've had a listing go under contract and one of the parties passes away? Yeah, it's no fun. And I will tell you from a personal perspective, I lost my father about 20 years ago. I'm an only child. My father did all of the right stuff while he was still living because he was terminally ill, and it made my experience so much easier on the liability and the legal side that I could just focus on spending time with my family through the process. I also lost my brother at 38 years old. He did not do that and was married and she had children from a previous marriage, and they had children of their own. It was litigated for 7 years because he owned his own business. So just to give you a perspective on that. share with your clients, do it for yourself. Do it for your families, whoever you want to put in charge is so important. Don't leave. Hold on. Now we're gonna change gears really quick. We're gonna do our video. You guys have certificates, right? Where are the other pieces? They're out here, but they are not. People are not here, so. Oh, you're right. Okay, for the frame stuff. Okay. Okay, please start. Can you start this? Oh, there you go. There we go. Congratulations, everybody who's in the room. Oh, am I done? I'm done.
Oh, Leah.
Okay, so much for play. Congratulations, guys. Good job. Good for your neighbor. I feel like it's, I hear everybody talking about the struggle